Business Support Program. As people have been available, have been aware that we've been running either weekly webinars or get-togethers each Wednesday at 10 o'clock, really to sort of help you engage with other entrepreneurs as well as learn new skills and techniques to help you prosper and thrive post-COVID. So can I then hand you over to our colleague Noshir Desai, who will be running today's session. Again, it will last roughly about 40-45 minutes. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll pick them up after the delivery of the seminar. We do automatically record these sessions, but as you are able to mute your microphone and video, that should take account of any GDPR issues. So without further ado, please welcome Noshir, and I'll hand you over to him.
Great, thanks a lot, Derek. So you can see some instructions on the screen. As I say, if you can, keep your phones on silent, mute yourselves, that sort of thing. Preferably don't take control of the slides. I'll try and do that, and that'll make things hopefully run smoothly. So as Derek said, yeah, welcome to Increasing Profit Through Market Insight, where the idea behind this session is to show you how better engaging and understanding your clients will hopefully help you make loads more money in your business. As Derek said, it's a program funded by Harrow Council. It's part of their COVID-19 business support program, and there's lots of information and support available both from Derek at the London Business Partnership and at Harrow Council. So if you need any more support, just contact either of those two. Let's crack on. Basically, a few rules just to hopefully make this run smoothly. Everything we talk about in this webinar will be confidential. As I said, you'll be muted during the presentation. If you do have questions as we run through, just pop them in the chat facility. Emma's going to keep an eye on that for me.
Yeah.
There will be some additional time at the end for questions, and I'll answer them as best as I can. And the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, is have some fun, because I'm planning to do that in the next hour. And also, I want you to try and take away one action point that you'll actually take forward to grow your business. Probably like me, like you guys, you've all been on training programs, you've been on webinars where you've had lots of useful information, you've gone away with best intentions, hoping to do something, you get back involved with your business, and as a result of that, time runs out and nothing actually changes. So try and commit yourself to take away one action point, and I'll ask you if you're able to just share what that might be at the end, and that means something will actually happen as a result of this session, and that's always my philosophy. Something positive should change. Right, okay, let me give you a little bit of, let me try and summarize 40 odd years into about 30 seconds. So as you can see, I'm an ex-banker, one of the good guys, obviously, a bit like Derek. Just to clarify, I wasn't responsible for the last global financial crisis. Unfortunately, nor did I get £1 million bonuses, but there we go. And managed to escape from that about 8 years ago. And I thought, okay, now it's time to address the balance. So I set up a small social care business. So I look after people in Harrow, just providing them with sort of social care, exercise, company. It's obviously quite important in this time. Good for my heart, not quite so good for my intellectual stimulation. So to help me keep that active, I'm a business advisor essentially. I'm a mentor. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. I'm a mentor with the British Library. We run some clinics on a first Wednesday of every month. I've supported Derek in the London Business Partnership in terms of a mentoring scheme. They operate in Harrow to support local businesses, and I do some mentoring myself in advisory work separately with SMEs. So that's probably more general coaching and mentoring support, but my specialism is client insight. When I talk about client insight initially, people don't quite get what it is, so I call it more generically marketing support, but it's a way of essentially better understanding what your clients' needs are and then making sure you position your business to meet those needs. So that's 40 years in a minute. Let's crack on and what we're going to cover. So we've got about 45 minutes, and what are we going to cover today? Well, quite a lot actually. We'll take a look at some of the main marketing challenges that I see most businesses face when I'm talking to them. What I hope will be slightly different with this webinar is, I suppose I call it a one-to-one in a one-to-many context. I don't like management jargon, but basically what that means is, although there's a few of us here on the call today, I want you to be able to do some work on your own business. So we'll do some exercise. We'll get you to do a few exercises. We'll do an exercise on how to find your ideal clients. Then we'll talk a little about building your reputation and brand image. Always a challenge for smaller SMEs and startups. We'll do a session on how to be more effective in terms of networking, both face-to-face when we eventually get back to that, and also virtually. The principles are very similar. We'll have a little session on why, in these current times particularly, it's important to talk to your clients, and even more important, listen to what they're saying. And then we'll do another session on how you can use client feedback to grow your business. And then I'll share some of the more common themes I see when I talk to businesses about what I think they should know from their clients and what some of the benefits are. And then we'll finish off with just showing you how I help businesses grow. So we've got a little bit to get through, so let's move on. So what are the main business challenges from a marketing perspective that I come across when talking to businesses? Well, in simple terms, it's that, isn't it, really? It's making more money. It's basically, hopefully you're going to learn some interesting stuff today and you'll be able to make more money in your business. But what does that mean in a little bit more detail? It's about getting more clients, isn't it? But as we'll see as we go through the session, it's not necessarily just about getting more clients, it's actually about getting more of the right sort of clients. And that's quite critical. I think as a small business owner, sometimes we take on any clients we can initially because we're worried that if we turn things down, we're going to lose business and we won't grow. But it is about getting the right type of clients, not just volume. So getting more clients, increasing sales, selling more products, getting more repeat orders, increasing your margins. And this is always a good one, improving your sales conversion rate. Do you know what your sales conversion rate is in your business? Do you know why your customers convert? And as I said earlier, we'll spend a bit of time talking about how you can establish a strong reputation, because that's also quite a challenge. And then once you've done that, how you maintain your profile and your brand image. And then, of course, all businesses, they want more referrals, they want more leads, more recommendations. It's always much more powerful, as I'm sure you know, if your clients recommend and say what a great job you've done helping them out to others, rather than you standing up and say what a great business coach I am, or what a great social media person or web designer you might be. And then again, this is something I think is quite important. It's basically, how do you deepen and get more from your existing client relationships? Because as I said at the outset, a lot of businesses chase new clients and sometimes they forget about their existing clients. And we all know it's much easier to sell to your existing clients because they already know, like, and trust you, so you can get more repeat business. So those are the main challenges I come across when I'm talking to business owners generally. So let's get you guys to do a bit of work, all in your best interest. So this is an exercise basically to help you find and define your ideal client profile. So hopefully you've got a bit of pen and paper if you're old-fashioned like me, or if you're modern, you'll have some clever technology to write some stuff down. So basically, I'm going to have about 2-3 minutes for these exercises. I want you to give some thought about what does your ideal client look like. So spend a few seconds thinking about that. I'll put a few prompts up on the screen. And think about why that's your ideal client. Can you define your own ideal client profile? Give that some thought for a few seconds. Things that might help you. Think about your best existing client. How did you find them? What problem did you solve? And depending what sort of business you are, if you're dealing B2B, think about the size of business you're targeting in terms of perhaps turnover, in terms of employees. Are you operating on a sector-specific basis? Are you looking for trade businesses for your clients or service industries? Think how you've helped similar clients. If you're dealing with the end user, what does that person look like? What's their age? What's their family situation? What do they like doing? Do they take holidays? How many do they take? All this information will help you start to build up a picture of what your ideal client looks like. So once you've got a bit of an idea of what that client looks like, think about, where are they? Where do they hang out? Both physically and online. Because if in terms of online, is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn, which is a bit more, I guess, a professional version of Facebook? Do your clients hang out on Instagram? Do you have a business like photographers or restaurant owners where it lends itself to pictorial pictures? Think about where your potential clients are and why online. And physically, what sort of network events do they attend? What conferences, trade shows? Are they members of the local chamber of commerce? Are they members of the local federation, the Federation of Small Businesses? Think about where they are. And like I said earlier, are you looking for sector-specific businesses? For example, I dealt with a web designer a while ago who'd done a website for a dentist. It had gone well, so quite sensibly, he asked that dentist for a case study and a recommendation. He recommended him to another dentist, and essentially he did a web design for the other dentist, and it went well. So now, as a result of that, he's now marketing himself as a specialist in terms of helping dentists improve their social media and their websites. So again, do you have a specialism? What's your USP? Think about that. Can you actually articulate it? What problem does your business solve? Have you got some case studies showing how you've helped similar clients with problems that will help you with prospects? All this will help you be and make a stronger case when you're dealing with your prospects if you've got this material behind you. And finally, I guess the idea is to help you use the right sort of marketing in the right place. So what I mean by that is, in the old normal of going to physical networking events, you might need some business cards, you might need a flyer. However, if you're marketing yourself online to prospects, you might need to be sending blogs, you might be sending newsletters, sector information. It's about finding out, as I said, what your ideal client looks like, where they are, and then how you can help them. So I'll just give you 10 seconds more to think about that and hopefully get a few notes down. And then I'll do a bit of work instead. Right, let's move on with brand reputation and image. So, we all know people buy from us when they know, like, and trust us, correct? But, as I said, as a small business owner, getting established can be quite difficult. Let me give you a simple example. When I worked for a large, well-known bank, I called up prospects saying it's Noshir Desai and I'm calling from Lloyd's where I worked, and most of the people would take my call. But when I first started my business and I said it was Noshir Desai calling from ND Consulting, all of a sudden that person was on the phone. Or the PA said, we'll take a message and we'll get the partner or the director or whoever it might be to give you a call back. And they really did call me back. And that's because they didn't know me and I'd established no trust or credibility. When I first started my company 7 years ago, I had some really basic business cards. Think about yours. I had a bt.com email address, no website, no information on my card about what I did. And what sort of impression do you think that creates? Well, in basic terms, simple, perhaps unprofessional, not good, but I listened to feedback from prospects and now I've got a more professional branded business card. I don't know if you can see this, but hopefully that is something you can see and make the most of it. So have information on the back as well. That's the first thing people do when they get a card. They look at the front, they turn it over. So use it as a marketing tool as much as you can. And all that just starts to create a more professional brand image. Initially, I thought, well, I don't need a website. You know, no one's going to go online and find me and buy having seen my website. But again, having one creates a more professional brand image. It gives you some substance. It gives you a bit more credibility. And on your website, have some client testimonials. Have some case studies of how you've helped clients, how you solve problems for them. Because basically, if I stand here or sit here as I am doing and tell you what a great business coach I am, you'd say, well, you know, you would say that, wouldn't you? But if a number of my clients actually said what a good job I've done, how I've helped them, it's much more powerful. And one thing I do, because I'm quite open, is I'm always happy to let prospects talk to the case studies and testimonial clients that I have on my website. So they know they're genuine, because we know that sometimes reviews and testimonials can be sort of, well, let's say not quite as true as they should be. Now, I'm sure you all know the power and influence of online reviews these days. For example, who goes on holiday? Who goes to a restaurant without first checking TripAdvisor? Unless you've had a strong recommendation from someone you know, like and trust. So again, it always surprises me how many businesses don't have any case studies or testimonials or Google reviews, because it all starts to build trust and credibility. For example, if you're looking for a business coach in Harrow and you Googled it and 10 names came up, say 6 of them had reviews saying what a great job these coaches have done, and 4 of them had no reviews, you can be certain you probably discount the 4 with no reviews and you start looking out in a little bit more detail about the ones with reviews and testimonials. So again, you don't need hundreds of these things, just build it into your post-sales review process and ask for testimonials and ask for reviews, because clients are generally happy to help. It's just about keeping them current and relevant. And try and establish yourself as a subject matter expert in your field. Send out blogs, send out useful information, send out newsletters, send out market information, but don't sell. It's about basically keeping current in your prospects' minds by maintaining profile. So when they come to a point where they think, oh yeah, I need some advice from a business coach, they think, oh yeah, I remember getting something from Noshir, and hopefully it was somewhat useful. So consequently, you know, find a way of staying in your client's thought process. And as I say, all these things will just start to uplift, build and maintain your reputation and brand image. So a bit to think about there. So let's move on. So I want to do a little exercise on networking. We're doing that in a way here. Obviously, Derek runs the networking events in between these webinar sessions. So I want you to think about how you could network more effectively. But to start with, spend a few seconds just thinking about your current approach to networking. How do you do it? Is it something like this? You think, oh, I need some more clients. I need to build up a few more contacts. In pops an email into your inbox. It's a networking event. We're talking about old days. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a free breakfast. You think, great, I'll go along to that. And I might meet some more clients. And you pop it in your diary, you register for it. And the next thing you think about is, okay, it's tomorrow morning, better set the alarm to get up early, and you know, off you go. And you hope you're going to meet some more clients, and you hope you might meet someone useful. That's often what certain people and certain business owners do. But how can you be more effective? How can you be more strategic? So we talked about your ideal clients earlier. You've hopefully got an idea of what they look like. Now think about, as I said to you, what sort of business networking events do they attend? Why? The networking events can be quite different. Certainly if you go up into town, into the West End, into the city in London, you'll find a higher proportion of professional services companies, accountants, solicitors, financial advisors. Typically some of the more local ones might have more trade businesses, plumbers, electricians. So think about where your prospective clients hang out in terms of networking events. And sometimes you can actually get a list of the attendees beforehand, not the names, but the types of businesses, so you can be a bit more thoughtful. So when you go along to this event, you know there's an accountant, there's a solicitor, and there's a web designer that you want to speak to, and you can be much more focused. So what are you going to do? Have a think about it for a minute. Well, the clue's in the bullet point, and that is ask questions. I'm sure you've all been to network events like me, where you get cornered by someone and they launch straight into their sales pitch. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I can't wait to get away. So ask sensible questions, listen to the answers. And when it's your turn, because ultimately they will ask you about what you do, be prepared. Have a 60-second pitch ready in your mind. Be clear about what sort of clients you're looking for, what sort of people you're looking to partner with, how you've helped clients, what problems you've solved. Have this all done up front. So when you are asked, so what is it you do, Derek, you can be clear and articulate clearly how you help and what you do. And then after the event, follow up. I don't know how many events I've been to where people have taken my card and that basically I never hear from them ever again. If I get someone's card, I basically try and make sure I follow up with an email, either the same day or the following day, and arrange a one-to-one in the coffee, which you can now do, I think, just about, or in the current environment, arrange a Zoom call. And that's where you'll find out much, much more about the individual, how you might be able to work together, whether you have common contacts that you can share. So that's where you're going to find out much more. Once you've had that meeting, get their permission to add them onto your contact list and stay in touch. Because again, if you meet someone at a network event and have a coffee or a Zoom call and never hear anything from them again, you'll be forgotten within 30 days at most. So like I said earlier, find a way of staying in touch by providing useful market information. Anything from blogs, sharing insight, which again, all helps build your trust and credibility. Okay, so hopefully you've got something down on that and you can be a bit more thoughtful. And when I say thoughtful, I mean plan in advance how you can be more successful when you're networking. Okay, so in a world increasingly dominated by social media, why should we bother talking to our clients? Who's this? Well, as you're muted, you can't answer, obviously, so I'll give you the answer. Well, it's supposed to be a business owner. Someone must have a suit like that. It's supposed to be a business owner, and he's thinking about what it is his clients actually want. So talking to your clients still has a place. It shows you care. It shows you value their opinion. And like I said earlier, it's about asking the right questions and listening to the responses. I came from a corporate background, and large corporate companies all have a process and a system to either mystery shop their customers and do calls with them and take thoughts and views. But for SMEs and one-man bands, it's a lot different. It can be a lot harder. You've got too many demands on your time. You've got a lack of time. So think about, when was the last time you really asked your clients what they want and what they think about your services? Clients and prospects are surveyed out these days. I get a survey questionnaire or a text message when I've been to my doctors. Would you recommend your doctor? You can't go anywhere. Having a conversation is much more personal and real. And as I said earlier, it shows you care and value the opinion of your clients. So give it a try. Talking to clients, old-fashioned, but actually it does still work. Right, so let's get you to do another exercise. This one's all about basically thinking about what sort of feedback, when I say feedback, I mean information, you need from your clients and how you're going to get it. So have a think initially, what are the top 5 things, top 5 most important things you need to know from your clients? So I'll give you a few seconds on that, have a little think about that. What would be really useful things for you to know from your clients? Why they choose you, what they like about you, We'll talk about that a bit more. But you know your business best. So what will be most important to you in your business? 5 things. And once you've got that, hopefully we've got some things down that you want to find out. The next thing to think about is, how are you going to get this feedback? There's many ways you can do them. You could do a survey, you could send a text, you could ask them for a Trustpilot or Google review, you could pick up the phone, talk to them. How are you going to get this feedback from your clients? And more importantly, how are you going to get them to be honest with their feedback? It can be quite, sometimes I suppose, uncomfortable if you ask your best client, what's that one thing that really frustrates you about what we do as a business? You know, they may know you well enough to tell you straight, or they may tell you what they think you want to hear, or they may just feel a little bit uncomfortable. So how are you going to get them to be honest and provide you with honest, constructive feedback? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. So now you know what you want to find out. You've got an idea of how you might get it, hopefully. What are you going to do with it when you've got it? How are you going to use that feedback and insight to take your business forward, grow, improve, develop your service, your product? You're going to put it on you can use it in your marketing. Are you going to use it on a flyer? I've got a flyer which I take out when I used to go to face-to-face networking events, and it's got a variety of different things, including 4 or 5 quotes from clients saying what a good job I've done, and hopefully I did. But as I said, you could talk to those clients if you wanted to. Are you going to put some case studies? Are you going to put some feedback on your website? Are you going to put it in your social media? How are you going to make the most leverage that client feedback that you've got to help you win more clients and help you in terms of your reputation and credibility when you're trying to convert prospects? So how do you use it in your marketing? Give you a few seconds on that. One thing you can do, and I do for a web designer I work with, is basically you could build in some form of client feedback process into your post-sales review. So after I work with a web designer. Once he's finished doing the website on these larger projects, he asks me to go in and basically talk to his clients and find out what's gone well, how they rate the product. Did they have enough time to give feedback? Were their views thought about and considered? Were they proactive? So you can build that in, for example, to a post-sales review process, and then you can demonstrate you offer a better client customer service than your competition. So what do you need? How are you going to get it? What are you going to do with it? All right. So have a think about that for a moment, and then we'll move on. So here, I just want to share with you, guys and girls, some of the more common things that I think all businesses should know from their clients. And when I'm going through this, have a think about those questions and ask yourself, do I know that information from my clients? Because it's quite powerful stuff. So, to start with, not that. Why do your clients choose you rather than your competition? Do you know why they choose you? Do you know how they find you? I worked with an estate planner a little while ago, and essentially, after he'd done a will for a couple, and he wanted to understand what it was that brought them to him. And essentially, when I interviewed the client, what turned out was that they'd found him on Facebook, a local next door Facebook group, where he'd done some work for others, and there were a couple of reviews, and people had said what a good job he'd done. So he knew from there that basically people were looking at that Facebook group and choosing and selecting him as a result of that. So he could then be a bit more proactive on that group, marketing himself, putting a few more case studies and testimonials, which all helps him get more business. So do you know why your clients choose your business? And how well do you actually understand your clients' needs? Have you ever asked them? I worked with another web designer. I do work with a few web designers, And one of the things he always used to do is he would offer a free web review. Website review. I talked to one of his clients, and basically what that client wanted was him to run his monthly communications. So he wanted to produce a blog, a newsletter, do all the technology, get it all sent out. And actually the free website review was of very little value to this underlying client. So by knowing that, the web designer could actually market himself separately as both a web designer, but also he does communications for small businesses. So again, just by understanding your client's needs better, you could have increase your product lines. This is a simple one, but how happy are your clients with, how happy are clients with your service? Have you ever asked them? Simple questions, but do you know that from your client base? And what do your clients like most about you? And more importantly, almost, what is it that frustrates them about you and your business? As I said to you, it's quite uncomfortable for a client to look his supplier in the eye and say, what frustrates me a lot, Moshe, is the fact that you might know your business in terms of advisory work, but we can never get hold of you on the phone. You're too busy. So it's quite difficult for them to sort of say that straight looking at the business owner provider sometimes. So what is it they like most, but more importantly, what they like least? And then what more from a client perspective can you do to improve your service, which will help you get more business, get repeat orders, get more recommendations, get more leads. And this is the final one, which is always interesting. Would your clients recommend you? And if so, what would they say? Have you ever asked them? If they would recommend you, that's great, but how they describe you? It's so important for you to basically get clients to recommend you, and if you know what they're going to say about you, you can use that in your marketing. So I think they're fairly generic things, but there's a lot more other things you can be thinking about, like how well do you communicate? How well do you build trust as a business owner? Are you considered responsive? Are you proactive? If you are a web designer or producing a product, what is the quality of your end product? All useful information. These things here are just a sort of generic view, which I think every business should know about their clients. So how can you get client feedback? Well, you've got choices as a small business owner. You can do nothing, you can get it yourself, you can do surveys, text messages, etc., get reviews, or you could use an independent expert, which just happens to be what I am. So I just want to spend a minute or two explaining to you my process in terms of working with business owners. And I guess it's a somewhat old-fashioned approach, traditional approach, call it you like, where I sit down with a business owner in the good old days face-to-face, perhaps now via Zoom, get to understand the business owner, get to understand their pain points, and what's key to them, and then basically we agree a sample of questions that business owner wants to know from their clients. And as I say, it's not a questionnaire, it's not a survey, it's typically half a dozen areas where they just want to find out these key bits of information from their clients. Once we've done that, we select a sample of clients for me to talk to, typically half a dozen, and we'll have a mixture of clients. So we might have a couple of long-standing clients that you've been dealing with for a while. You might have a couple of clients that you just dealt with for the first time. And you might have a couple of clients where, excuse me, you're just doing a small amount of their business, but you know there's much more of their business you could be handling, but it's not coming your way. So it's a blend of clients. So you get corresponding different sort of views. Essentially what the business owner then does is that he gets the client's agreement to talk to me, and essentially once that's done, I set up a telephone interview with their underlying clients. Their clients, these clients, they get details of the areas the business owner has asked me to cover in advance. It's not a survey, as I said, it's not a questionnaire. The idea of sending them to the client in advance is to give the client a chance to think about their response. So when I talk to them, we have a more meaningful, open and honest discussion. One of my USPs, I'm told, is I'm quite good with people apparently. So essentially in the first minute of that call, I'll know a bit of their relationship with the business owner. We'll have a bit of a chat. I'll build a bit of trust and rapport, put them at ease. And then we just have a conversation, run through the questions. The client doesn't write anything down. And based on that conversation, I then produce purposely a succinct one-page report per client, a summary report, which then goes back to the business owner saying, this is what your clients are saying, and most importantly then, what are you going to do with this information? As I said earlier, how are you going to use that information effectively to grow? Because what I did initially when I set up my business, I would send the report to the business owner, I'd talk them through it, they'd say, that's quite interesting stuff, I'm not sure, I'll just pop this on the side. When I get a moment, I'll do something with it, and you know what happened, don't you? They never got a moment and nothing actually happened. So what we do now is I agree a joint action plan with the business owner to take some action, so something actually changes in their business as a result of that feedback and information. And if what needs to be done is something I can help with, I will work with the business owner. If it's an area which is not my expertise, for example, social media, or they want help with their branding or improving their SEO rankings, then I've got a network of contacts that I can introduce them to. So as I say, it's a much more relationship enhancing, as I say, traditional approach. Right, so, as I said earlier, talking to your clients, all well and good, but listening to your clients, even more important. We've all heard the adage of basically, you know, 2 ears, one mouth and all that sort of thing. So listening, very, very important. And sometimes clients will be trying to tell you things, perhaps not directly, indirectly. And if you're not listening clearly to what they're saying, sometimes the first thing you'll know about the fact that your clients are not happy is this. And you think, hang on a minute, I thought it was all going really well, Mr. Client. But, you know, they've been trying to sort of drop stuff into the conversation. They've been a bit embarrassed to actually sort of tell you what's really frustrating them, what's really bothering them. And before you know it, they've gone. They've gone to one of your competitors, and it's too late to then get them back. So I want you to do a little mini exercise here. And here's a question for you. And that is, how would your business cope if you lost your top 5 clients? Just think about that for a moment. Because as I said earlier, most businesses I talk to, they spend lots of time, effort, resource, money trying to get new clients. But how do you protect and grow your existing top 5 clients? Because if you're like most business owners, your top 5 clients will produce whatever it is, 80, 90% of your profit in terms of your income. So think about, as an exercise, firstly, who are your top 5 clients? Give that a thought, give that some thought for a few seconds. Why are they your top 5 clients? Think about that as well. Do you sell a lot to them? Do you get good margins? Are they very profitable? Are they good introducers? Do you sell a number of different product lines? Do you get a lot of repeat business? Who are your top 5 clients and why? I'll give you a few seconds to get something down on that, hopefully. And once you've got that, think about, like I said earlier, what do you need to do or know from those key top 5 clients to ensure they're happy? When was the last time you actually stepped back, as I said, and had a conversation with them, not about their next order or the sort of latest sale, but how do you think our relationship's going, Mr. Client? And what could we do? What more could we do more for you? What sort of challenges do you see in your business in the next 2 to 3 years where we could help? So who are they? Why are they your top 5 clients? And what do you need to do to keep them and grow them? As I said earlier, it's much easier to deepen, cross-sell, grow, get repeat business, get recommendations from our existing clients, particularly our good clients, because they already know, like, and trust us. So I'll just give you a few more seconds to get something down on that. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of getting client feedback? Gives clients more of what they really want. I explained earlier about the situation with the estate planner who sorry, the web designer who thought it was great to give free website reviews, but actually clients wanted him to deal with their communications. Like I said earlier, it helps you build your reputation with testimonials, with case studies. Always much more powerful if clients are recommending you. And as you know, people do rarely buy anything these days without first checking reviews, checking online to see what people are saying about you. So if you know why people buy from you, you can build that into your marketing. It helps you in more repeat business, more additional business, more new business. Helps you understand what your clients' key issues are in the market as opposed to what you think they are. And putting all these things together, it will give you a competitive advantage over your competition. Because like I said earlier, can you define what your USP is? One thing might be your quality of customer service. And if you have this process built in, you can tangibly demonstrate you're different to all the competition. And all that will help you strengthen your client relationships and build loyal, long-standing, strong relationships, which is what we all want. So let me give you a couple of actual examples of businesses I've worked with and how feedback has helped them. Like I said, I do work with a number of web designers. I worked with one about 9 months ago, interviewed one of his clients. And what the client said was that essentially he was really happy with the website that the web designer had produced. He got 3 quotes from web designers, but the quote from this web designer who'd done the work for him was actually 1/3 to half of the price of the other 2 web designers. So basically what the client was saying is, you're too cheap, Mr. Web Designer. Your service is top notch, but your pricing is actually quite low. So I fed this back to the web designer, and like most small business owners, he'd been thinking about basically reviewing and updating his pricing. He used to do, I think he did about 4 basic websites designs a month. His starting price was £1,500 per website. So I said to him, over the next month, why don't you just test the market and quote at a minimum of £2,000 rather than £1,500 per website. So he did that over the next month. He quoted between £2,000 to £2,500 for 4 websites, review and designs. He won them all. And basically, over the course of a year, that's going to generate him roughly about £20,000 to £22,000 of additional income, just by asking a simple question of a client. So it can be powerful stuff. I worked with an architect, and when I spoke to a sample of his clients, one of the things that came out from that conversation was when he was going through and explaining the planning process, he was using quite technical language. And the clients, being clients, didn't quite understand what he was saying, felt a bit embarrassed to sort of ask. So instead of basically sort of saying, don't we understand what you're saying, can you just explain that again, please? They would go off to the next architect and he would lose business. So I fed this back to him. He changed the way he would explain things to people. He used much more plain English. And as a result of that, over the next 6 months, his conversion rate improved from converting 1 in 3 prospects to 1 in 2. So his sales conversion rate basically improved from 33 to 50%. So like I say to you, it's actually very powerful talking to clients because you never know what they're going to tell you. And I guess the benefit of using a third party as well is that there's no emotion there. Clients of business owners would tend to tell me things sometimes, but they wouldn't tell the business owner directly because they know them too well, because they're a little bit embarrassed, because it's a little bit uncomfortable saying, I can never get hold of you on the phone, and you take 2 days to come back to me when I'm in touch. So a number of benefits of getting this client feedback. So we're getting close. I hope you're still with me. And we've talked about quite a lot of stuff, but how do you all pull that together? Because most of the things we've talked about here, you could use to formulate a good marketing plan. So the first thing I say to most business owners when they're talking about marketing and how to sort of grow their business and what sort of plan to produce, and this again is old-fashioned, but it's actually very, very relevant still, and that is write it down. When you commit stuff to writing, you're much more likely to do it. And there's no need to overcomplicate stuff. You don't need clever Gantt charts in massive, great Excel spreadsheets. What you need sometimes is something that's quite simple, which might just be an Excel spreadsheet with half a dozen key priority marketing areas down the vertical axis, dates along the top, prioritize them in terms of red, amber, green, in terms of where you are, and start to work through it, and then monitor your progress as you go through. So write it down, and what are the sort of things you need to think about. We've talked about some of these things. Do your market research. What is the size of your market? Have you done any sort of competitor analysis? It never ceases to amaze me how many hairdressing places open. I'm based in Harrow, as some of you might be, and there seem to be more hairdressing places opening than betting shops, and they open next to another hairdressing shop. And I don't know if they've done any analysis whatsoever. So, you know, basically, do your competitor analysis. Why are they going to come to you rather than your competition? Like we said earlier, identify your target clients, what type of clients they are, where they're located, what are their buying behaviours? Do they buy online? Do you need to physically pick up the phone and talk to them? Do you need to be in front of them? What are your marketing channels? Is it going to be via social media, Facebook, YouTube videos? Do you need to go and attend networking groups, trade shows? Do you need to do paid advertising? All things for you to consider when you're trying to market your product or service. And as we said earlier, how are you going to build your reputation and profile? How are you going to increase that brand awareness, whether it be on flyers or whether it be on doing blogs and different posts? A number of different ways to consider how you're going to do that. And what's your sales pitch? What is your USP? Can you actually clearly articulate your offer, the problems you solve, and the benefits you provide? Have you got case studies showing how you've done that with other clients? What are the benefits of what you do? Put it all together in writing. One side, A4, landscape, Excel spreadsheet as a starting point, and you'd be surprised once you've committed it to writing how you actually make progress by doing it, rather than thinking about all the things you want to do, and never get into the doing part. So for me, it's all about taking action. Right, well, you'll be pleased to know we're nearly there, and I think I'm just within time. So I just want to share with you a few ways that I help businesses grow when I'm working with SMEs. As I said earlier, I provide mentoring and coaching support via the British Library. We used to do that on a face-to-face basis, but of course now everything is done via Zoom and via Teams. We do that on the first Wednesday of every month. We have subsidised by the British Library, so local businesses can get expert advice, and I'm one of their advisors. Like I said, I help SMEs develop and build marketing plans, and marketing plans which are actionable. So I don't like to spend hours and hours and hours in the design process. Yes, we need to have a proper plan in place, and you need to be able to use it to take your business forward. So as I say, it's about taking action in terms of your marketing plans. I've talked about how I help businesses understand better what their clients want, better engagement, how that can help you grow your business. I tend to work with a variety of different businesses, more on the services side, but I have done some work with trade businesses as well. It's typically professional services businesses, accountants, solicitors, web designers, architects. The principle is the same with trade businesses. One of the things I've done as part of my marketing is basically I've got a taster offer. In very simple terms, what that means is I've got a discounted offer which allows business owners to try me out with one client. And without boring you too much, it's discounted, so I absorb the upfront costs, and it allows the business owner to try me out, as I say, with one client to see what sort of information they get, what sort of impression I create on the client, and what the report looks like, without them having to give me a group of clients, and obviously it keeps the cost down. So it's almost like a try before you buy, I suppose. I do one-to-one business advice sessions. As I said, I'm a mentor also for the London Business Partnership. I've known Derek for some time. I also help businesses handle complaints more effectively. You'll probably know that if you handle a complaint well, it can turn out to be your best client. Very simple example, in my banking days, I was looking after actually local authorities in London. I got a call late one evening, or late enough for me, I think it was about 6:30, and a very irate finance director complaining about something that had gone wrong. Cut long story short, I took on board the complaint. I said, leave it with me, managed to resolve it quite swiftly over the next few days, and over the course of the next 2 to 3 months, built a relationship with the finance director, and on the back of that, we managed to quote and tender for some business, which we won, which we wouldn't have done if we hadn't handled the complaint effectively. So how you handle complaints can be very powerful. So that's about it from me. So as I said, there's my contact details there. I know times are tough at the moment. So one thing I'm offering you guys is basically the first 5 people who want to get in touch, I'll offer them a free 30-minute review of their business. As I say, there's lots of information out there, but I'm happy to have a 30-minute call with the first 5 people to get in touch in terms of anything I've spoken about today. So feel free to take advantage of that if you think it will help. So 50 minutes, not too bad. I think that's just about everything. So what I'll do is I'll hand back to Emma and Derek for now. And what I would like you to do, if you're able, is to put in the chat facility what one thing you're going to do, if you're able to share that with us. And also, please feel free to put in any feedback, good or bad. I've got broad shoulders. I think Derek and Emma will be sending out a formal feedback request after. I would please encourage you to fill that in. It doesn't take too long. It's just to make sure we're providing the right sort of support, and it helps obviously the council in terms of getting the funding support for us to do these sort of things. So I hope that's been useful. I'll hand over to Derek and Emma to see if there are any questions. Thanks very much.